Seems like nobody's up. Hello, guys. Hi, Shani. So I accidentally deleted the video I had earlier today, and I decided to come again and do it again. Hi, Lakeisha. Yes, CXC is next week. Yeah. So what's the plan for the night? What are you guys studying tonight? Okay. To Kill a Mockingbird. All right. All right. So let's talk To Kill a Mockingbird. Let me send a link of this to my students. Yeah. So I'm back. Right. So yeah, it was stuck for a bit. I closed it and came back. Good. So let's talk. Yeah, let's talk To Kill a Mockingbird. Let's get the numbers up again, and we'll talk To Kill a Mockingbird. So like the video, so the others are gonna get notified. I'll be live, and we're gonna talk To Kill a Mockingbird. Let me do a little relaxing. So what do you want to talk about To Kill a Mockingbird? You tell me the story. What's happening in To Kill a Mockingbird? I want to get you engaged as much as possible. Tell me what's happening in To Kill a Mockingbird. Sir Hattie. Okay. So To Kill a Mockingbird is this situation that is centered around a place. You know, it's me. I don't know who this me is, but okay. It seems like Javon. Yes. So To Kill a Mockingbird is centered around Makeup, Alabama. And Makeup, Alabama is this fiction. Well, it's a real place, but the story is said to be fictional. But we all know that that might not necessarily be true. Yeah. The details that emerge from this To Kill a Mockingbird is too true to be lie. It happens every day. Anyway, so what's the story like? The story is centered around this white man, Atticus Finch, who is given the task of defending this guy who's accused, Tom Robinson, of raping a young lady, Mirella Yule. So Mirella is this young lady who decided that, you know what, she is willing to have a soft spot for a man of color, and somewhat wanted to have a relationship with Tom Robinson, right? Whatever the relationship involved. And sadly, though, her father interrupted and found Tom Robinson in the house, and they had to, well, he of course ran away. So after which, the father dealt her some good licking, and they concocted this lie to say that Tom Robinson raped Moella Yule. And of course, she was the one that perpetuated a lie and over and over and over and over told that lie. In that racist, backward Makeup, Alabama, the court existed, but the situation was that if a white woman accuses a black man of rape, sadly true, the man is already convicted in the public's view. And he was guilty, even though the court did not make the decision as yet, right? So we had a situation where the entire jury was actually man or actually people of Caucasian descent, you know? And because of that, the trial, of course, was not going to be a fair one. It was not going to be a fair one. So, what are the evidence? What do we know? We know that Tom Robinson was a handicap. He couldn't have possibly beat her the way in which, or attempt to do anything the way in which they described it. So, as a result, it was obviously concocted, this lie. And even though all of that evidence pointed to the fact that he was innocent, he was still convicted. He was still convicted of rape. Hmm? So, what is this To Kill a Mockingbird? The title is a foreshadow. Foreshadow means it's a hint of what is to come. So, To Kill a Mockingbird is really telling us that some mockingbird will be killed. So, who is a mockingbird? You must know this. A mockingbird is anyone, according to Miss Marty, is anyone who provides some good thing for someone and or good nature, someone who's going about their business just to give you some sort of goodness. And to kill the mockingbird, to kill that person who's providing sweet songs for you, is a sin. So Miss Molly described it as a sin to kill a mockingbird. And that's what we see in this book. There's so many mockingbirds that were killed. CX, you can ask to identify a few mockingbirds and then explain to them, and then explain how those mockingbirds were killed. So let's look at that quickly. Let's talk about a few mockingbirds. Who do you guys think are mockingbirds? Let's hear some examples of mockingbirds quickly. We know the obvious ones. We know the obvious ones of Tom Robinson. Who else do you think is a mockingbird? Type in quickly. Oh, hi Adam. Mr. Webb has been doing quite a lot to help you guys pass. I hope you're checking him out. Shakespeare is a mockingbird. We're talking about To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I'll try to save it. So you have Atticus. Atticus was a mockingbird. Remember, he was just trying to do good to defend that Tom Robinson character. And then the other white people chastise and mock his children and all of that sort. So that's an attempt to kill that mockingbird, to kill that good nature of Tom Robinson. Not Bob. Boo Radley was definitely a mockingbird. That character, much was not known of him, and still people thought he was this crazy character who didn't have a life and thing and of all nature, and his character was obviously killed. And at the end, what do we see? We see that it was the same Boo Radley that ended up saving the lives of the children, right? And it hinted to the fact, there was an innuendo at the end, hinted to the fact that Boo Radley actually killed Bob Yule, and yeah, so that was definitely a mockingbird worth mentioning. Who else would be a mockingbird? Let me see. Yeah, Miss Hayes, Gem. How do you see Gem as a mockingbird? Let me tell you something. English B. There is hardly a very wrong answer. And that's what I like about English B. It's all about what you see as the justification and how well you can explain your answer. Right? This is not mathematics, boring mathematics that has only one answer. English, everyone has a chance to express themselves and get a chance to be heard. So that's why we will always see in the mark scheme and any other suitable answer the student can concoct or curriculum can present, right? So you will always get your marks once you're able to justify, right? So how do you see Jem as a mockingbird? Yes, I agree. I agree. Mirella is a mockingbird to an extent, and it's really. I'm happy somebody actually said that. For you to paint the picture of Mirella being a mockingbird, let me tell you this: that court case is probably the best. The court scene or chapter is probably the best example of Mirella's character. If Mirella was allowed to be in that courtroom, in the absence of the father, she would have told the entire story. So there this young lady was in a racist society who dared having this thought of seeing a black man more than what the black man is portrayed to be. Definitely she should be applauded for that, right? But there it is. The older folks who's racist condemns her for it, and because they are heavily present in this courtroom, racism wins at the end of the day. And that is exactly what happened there. And I would agree, Mayweather is a mockingbird. She's willing to try. But of course, racism wins over her, and that mockingbird is killed. I agree. But again, it comes down to how you justify yourself there. All right? So, yes, let's talk about some relationships. What are some good things we can see here? We see a dominant single parent household. If you noticed, this is quite unorthodox to the Caribbean. We see two males that are raising significant families. Robert, a terrible example of a father, a terrible example of a single parent. And then we see Atticus Finch, the best example of what a father can stand for. Right? So that there is a good teaching point to show us just how single parents or single fathers can or cannot raise their family, depending on how you look at it, right? So much is to be learned from Atticus. He didn't just tell the children what he wanted them to learn, he actually showed them how to do it. And in doing that, it was very, very monumental. And he gave a very powerful statement when he said, or I think it was, you can tell me, you probably know more about it than me. I haven't read this book in a while. So he said, never judge a person until you climb around and walk in his shoes. Google that, see who said it, confirm it's Atticus Finch. If it weren't, it probably was Miss Maudie or the house help Calpurnia. One of the three of them. Just confirm it. Google it. But yeah, you never judge a person. You can never judge a person unless you're able to walk in their shoe. Very, very good teaching point. Right? And there are so many lessons we can learn from that book. But the main thing is that you have a racist society, and that racist society won at the end when an innocent man was convicted of a crime he did not commit. So we see some promises. The promise is that there's a black woman raising white children. That's a promise. There's a promise that things are going to get better. There's also a promise that there's some hope that a white woman might have feelings for a black man and want to have a union with a black man. That is seen with Mirella and the liking of this Tom Robinson character. So that's another promise in the book. What else is a promise? There's so many things we can talk about there. But remember, you have to understand that this book is told from the eyes of a grown-up Scout Finch. Jean Louise Finch, as her name rightfully is. She has grown up and now she's telling the story of what used to happen when she was a child. Alright? What else? I'll be going in a few minutes. What else is there to talk about To Kill a Mockingbird? There are so many. So what are some devices you will talk about? There's so many. There's so many. But foreshadowing is one. When you mention foreshadow, you will talk about the title of the book. The title is To Kill a Mockingbird. we can see that that's a four. I have videos on this, guys. I have videos on what I'm saying to you. Please go check it out. I have a lot of content. I don't think you guys are paying attention and using the content I have, but I do have stuff online. Just check it out. Foreshadowing, the title is used as a foreshadow to highlight to us what is to come. And what is to come is that there is this mockingbird, or many mockingbirds, examples of mockingbirds that are going to be killed. Right? So to kill a mockingbird is really a foreshadow of what is to come in the book. There's irony. There's so many things that are ironic. Irony, and that's probably the one that you want to talk about on the exam, the entire essay, you want to highlight that. It was ironic that the black man, do you do Cape literature? I can't do Cape literature right now. I don't have the time, sorry. Yeah. It was ironic that the black man was convicted of a crime he did not commit, even though all the evidence pointed to him being not guilty. That is a bitter irony, right? And that's something you really want to highlight and go on to dive into it and clearly explain. Remember, when you're talking about your devices, you highlight the name of the device. You show one sentence to show that device, and then you go on to explain. Students don't go on to explain, and that's where you lose marks, right? Yeah, that's a lot of talking. Symbolism, definitely. You want to show symbolism of how you want to, yeah, symbolism is seen there, and in the context of the racist society, in the context of fatherhood, in the context of the family, household, and all of that. So many symbolisms there indeed. What are other devices you know about? Once you are comfortable with a device, be able to explain it well, right? Good. Let's quickly talk about 5 minutes or so on. Give me a minute. Let me just send this message. We'll talk a little bit about Tijuana and His Brothers. Ooh, fancy. Yeah, Tijuana and His Brothers by Derek Walcott. So Tijuana and His Brothers is a fable. A fable is a story. Yeah? It's being told to us through the eyes of the forest animals, the frog, the firefly, blah, blah, blah. And it's telling us, so in the preamble, the frog said, look, in the moon, there's a man, no, a boy. His name is Tijuana. I'll tell you how he got to be in the moon. And again, the title is a foreshadow. It says Tijuana and His Brothers. So that automatically will tell you who the successful brother is. So that title is a foreshadow of who the successful brother was. Good. So that story is telling us that, so you have these three boys. Grosjean, mean literally big, Mijan, second or middle, and Tijuana, small. The three boys have different characteristics, and those characteristics are what led to their success or defeat. The first characteristic, Grosjean, is his physical strength. And I want you to understand something. There is so many bad things we can talk about the Grosjean character, but we also want to talk the good thing that we have learned about the Grosjean character. The main thing you can see from Grosjean is his ability to be responsible. He teaches responsibility. And in teaching responsibility, he showed us that when it is time, like we see in the Caribbean, when a man or a child becomes a man and has to now take care of his family, he does what he has to do. So there Grosjean is Realizing when his father is no longer around, he had to go out there and he now had to become the father. He had to go and earn for the sustenance of the family. That is responsibility. When Grosjean died, it was now Mijan's turn to do the same. So we see responsibility is much like what we see in the Caribbean. The question can ask you that, The question can ask you to reference the things that we can observe with these families to what is happening in the everyday situation in the Caribbean. One, there's a strong single parent household. We see the absence of a father, and the absence of the father led to these boys being is the reason for these boys' death, right? If the fathers were around, the father was around, the boys wouldn't be going out to go search for wealth. So the absence of the father is a direct reason for the death of these boys. And again, that shows Caribbean society, because when the father is not around, the household suffers. So Mijan, the physical strength of Grosjean was not enough to succeed against the white devil. I don't want to talk too much about that because I don't want YouTube to ban me, but I'm talking about a book that Derek Walcott wrote, and Derek Walcott won the Nobel Prize of Literature with. He must have ruffled some feathers up for him to win the Nobel Prize of Literature. Coming from Trinidad. Hi to Trinidad, Pasty. You're a great teacher. I try. Thank you. I don't do well with compliments. Please don't. Yes, where was I? So, Grosjean Derek painted the picture for us that Grosjean was this subject that had physical strength, and that was all he had. Yes, he was responsible. Yes, he did what a man had to do. It's when it's a man's turn to leave his parents' house and fend for himself, he did that. So we can see the good thing about Grosjean. But what else do we see from him? We see arrogance. We see ignorance in relation to his faith. We see a rejection of parental advice. We see arrogance in the way he treated the creatures of the forest. Now, the creatures of the forest is a symbol. Those creatures there, they are symbols of the Caribbean society. Right? The people of the Caribbean will be the creatures of the forest, and the forest is a symbol of the Caribbean society, if you understand what Derek was trying to show us. So, Grosjean's failure was obvious. He was not willing to listen, no one could have advised him, and all he had to defeat was strength. And strength was exactly what made slavery so powerful. So you couldn't have possibly defeat the white man by doing exactly what the white man wants you to do, which is to work. Look at that. That's a beautiful irony there. Anyway, next, Mijan. And there are many Mijan. There are many... Watch how Sir blush. Okay. Alright, stop it. There are many Mijan around in our society. Many Mijans. The Mijan character is the colonized subject. Is the character that was educated by the white man. Now let me tell you something about education. The people who give us education oftentimes give us just enough so we can always... y'all not ready for this church tonight. Y'all not ready for this church tonight. The people who give us education oftentimes will only give us just enough that we can remain servants to them. They wouldn't give us enough for us to use that education to defeat them. But y'all not ready for that discussion tonight. Look at Mijan. Mijan was educated. He had the book. He had the book. He thought everything was in the encyclopedia. He thought all the knowledge he needed was in this encyclopedia. He thought everything he needed to defeat the devil was there, but can the white devil give you what the white man hope you don't have to defeat him? We're not ready for that tonight. So his failure was obvious. He was too reliant on this education, and he was ignorant to the fact that there are people who might have better experiences and know how to get the job done. He was hasty. He didn't listen to the advice of the people of the forest, and that led to his downfall. So in the drama, you have to know about props. What do we see as the props? We see the book by Mijan, and we see the axe by Grosjean. Those are the props to show the two characters. One is to show the physical strength, and one is to show the white man's education that was given to this colonized subject. Right? Jason Smithy, that name sounds very familiar. I won't be answering that question. Why not? That is beautiful stuff. That's beautiful stuff, man. You gotta do Caribbean things, man. As much as you guys want to talk about the Tempest and William and all of that, celebrate your Caribbean folks. Derek Walcott and his Nobel Prize of Literature. I wasn't taught it in school. Okay, fair enough. But I have YouTube content on it. I have lots of content on it. You can teach yourself it now. And you can know enough. You can know enough to go to the exam and write a good essay. It wasn't on the syllabus. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Yeah, so let's talk Tijuana. So here's this little boy, Tijuana, who's not the smartest, who's not the strongest, but that's life, you know. Man, if I continue preaching tonight, y'all gotta pay me, y'all gotta give me some offering. That is life. That is how life is set up. You don't have to be the brightest cookie in the jar. You don't have to be the strongest cookie in the jar, but you have to be smart to get the job done. And that's what Tijuana showed us. Tijuana used and played the hand brilliantly. He showed us that despite the shortcomings, he was still successful. Despite the shortcomings, he was humble. Despite the shortcomings, he was disciplined. Despite the shortcomings, he was hardworking. Despite his shortcomings, he was smart. And it's not always about book smart, you know. This man had road smart. This man had sense. And then it was brilliantly said, he who tries to play fair with the devil weaves a web with his own despair, of his own despair. Brilliant words. Those are words you can take on with you. Those are words you can take on with you for life, not just learning. See, English B is not just about passing an exam. English B is about the way of life of people. And if you understand how people do things by what you have read, you can be able to maneuver your way through life. Now, Tijuana is trying to show us that in life, you might not be the best, but that doesn't mean you can't be successful. Did you hear me? I'll say it again. You might not be the best at anything, but that doesn't mean you will not be successful. All you have to have is discipline, perseverance, and the will to continue. And that's what Tijuana did. He was humble. He listened. He asked his mother for advice. He asked her to pray. And he listened to the people of the forest. Now, Tijuana represents that subject that is willing to rally troops, the subject that is willing to work with others for the common good. And because he was willing to work with others, that led to his success. So, and at the end, what happened? The Bullen was given life. The family was given riches. The brothers' lives were restored, but the mother died. And the Bullen is a very interesting character. I wouldn't tell you about that tonight. I'll tell you about that when we meet on Sunday. We're meeting on Sunday for about 2 hours, and we'll review things. Remind me to talk about the Bullen on Sunday. All right, I just arrived. Did he talk about the Mockingbird? Yes, you just missed it. You just missed it. Will you do a class before exams? Unfortunately, no, I wouldn't. I'm busy, very, very busy. But again, the content is all here. Last year's revision is also here. So you guys can get a look at last year's video. But I wouldn't be available to do a night before exam revision like I would have done in the past. Sorry. Any specific questions? I'm going to leave in about 4 minutes. So we spoke about the two. Remember, let's recap our exam. Our exam is 3 sections: drama, poetry, prose. Drama, poetry, prose. In the drama, you have to answer between Tijuana and His Brothers or The Tempest. In the poetry segment, you have 2 questions. One that will name 2 poems, and one that will give you a question that you can use any of 2 poems in the syllabus to answer. Then, give me a minute, let me just send a message. Okay. Yep. Let me just send that. Good. Where are we? What was I saying? Yeah, so you have 2 questions in section B. You answer the named 2 poems in the first question, and the second question you answer an essay on any 2 poems you have studied that answer the question. Any 2 poems can be used. Any 2 poems can be used. So if you know 2 poems really well, you can use those 2 poems really well. So please learn at least 2 poems by heart. Be able to quote, be able to talk about your device by heart. That's a hack. Don't tell anybody I taught you that hack, but that's a very good hack. Very, very good hack. Good. What else? And the prose section, 1 essay again on either the To Kill a Mockingbird, or the short story, or Brett Ice Beverly. 1 essay. So in the end, you're doing 3 essays. 1 essay in each section. I would recommend you take 40 minutes to write about 450 words for that essay. That is sufficient to give you a very good grade in the exam. All right? Good. I hope that's helpful. You've been such a big help for me. And I'm happy. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you so very much for that feedback. Good. Like Corwin Springer would say, helping the Caribbean children to win. So let's win. Let's all win. There are so many good people out there who's trying so hard to make Caribbean students do well. Corwin is one of them. Adam is another. There's this guy, Adept Accounts. There's so many people, man. I've come into contact with over the years. There's somebody that does geography. There's so many persons who do well to make, and I think some form of recognition needs to be done for those people who take it upon themselves to teach. Teaching is something that not everybody does. Yeah. English A tips, I have all the tips here on the channel. And you've been on this channel a while now, Jenna Prasad. I've seen that name several times. So you know exactly those tips are right on the channel. Two final questions before I go. Two final questions before I go. Nobody? Two final questions. Then I gotta run. Gotta go study. Okay. Thank you. When you top your school, remember to include me in your speech. Or remember to talk. I saw somebody had a very nice story from Berbice last year, Berbice, Guyana. Last year, they I think it was a top student from one of the schools in Berbice, and when she was giving her speech to the newspaper, she mentioned my name. I felt so nice. The little things like that, make it all worth it. Huh? It's nice. That's very nice. Paper one, pray. uh, the answers are there. You just have to figure them out. Paper one is generally rough. It's always been rough. But you have to just go with the best attitude towards it and make sure you do your very best to conquer it. Right. A year I had a class of students who cried when they came out of paper one because they said, oh my god, their teacher is working so hard, they have to get grade ones, and the paper one was so hard, and they cried, they didn't want to see me, and I tell them, stop being ridiculous. That's how English B paper one always is. If you think paper one will be easy, you have something else coming for you. It is going to be rough. It has to be rough. But that doesn't mean you can't get a grade one. In life, difficult things often lead to beautiful endings. I'll say that again. In life, difficult things always lead to beautiful endings. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Any other question? One more and then I'll go. Will you be doing any video on short story? Not before your exams. No. I'll probably do that for next year, but not for this year exams. Sorry. Anything else? Alright, it was nice chatting with you guys, as usual. Let me remind you, I'll go live on Sunday at 11. Sunday at 11, Sunday 22nd of May at 11, for one final run through of the syllabus and some final tips for you. I will not be going live the 90/40 exam like I would have done in the past. I don't have the time to do that. But I think you have a lot of content here on the channel to help you. You have reviews to every poem in the syllabus. You have videos, more than one videos that talk about the devices in every poem. You have a video also that talks about the themes in every poem. You have a video that tells you how to write English B essays. You have a video on To Kill a Mockingbird. You have a video on the devices to kill the devices in To Kill a Mockingbird. You have a video on Tijuana and His Brothers. You have a video that tells you about the devices in Tijuana and His Brothers. You have a video on the Tempest. You have two videos on the Tempest. And you have a video that tells you about the device in the Tempest. You have all this content I have created over the years on the channel. Just sit down, have some coffee, or some soda, or some water, and go through the posted videos. Don't wait before the 94 exam and then do it. You will not be able to do that. I talk fast, so you can't put me on times 1.5. That wouldn't work out. Right? But go ahead, guys. Go ahead and win. Remember, many of you, your families are depending on you. And I'll end with that note. Your families are depending on you. Many of you are going to be the first of your family to finish school. Many of you might actually have to go on to work to help your families. So your families need you. So don't look at the CXC thing as another chance to waste time. You don't have time to waste. Your family needs you. You need you. Your future needs you. Right? And CXC should be a one-time thing. You don't have the time to go at it over and over and over. You still have time to change the trajectory. You still have time to change your outcome and the grade. Just start working. Work and work assiduously, hard. Right? You can do this. You can do this. And remember, even if you think that you're not prepared for the exam, still turn up. There's a blessing in showing up. There's a blessing in showing up. And if you don't believe me, ask David from the Bible. He just showed up and he was able to defeat Goliath. No exam is bigger than God, bigger than you. No exam exists that you can't conquer. Right? So I believe in you guys. Wish you all the best. Continue working hard. And when you get those results, I hope I can hear from you. All right. That was it. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me. Go ahead and like this. Like it. Get the likes up. I'll try my very best to save it this time. Earlier today I did a live, but I didn't save it. So I have to do another one to compensate for that. So, yeah. Good. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good night. Keep working hard. Study. Bye-bye.